Hello there everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I hope that you're all having a good day, finding time for yourselves to relax and do the things that you love to do. Now, with it being the month of April, it is Autism Awareness Month, and so I wanted to pop on here and make a video just kind of rambling, I guess. I was going to jot some things down on like a piece of notebook paper, but I didn't feel right about doing that, so I'm just gonna speak from the heart and just do a little, not really like a story time, but just a little ramble. So I want to say a little disclaimer. If anything I say, I know that's very vague, but like if anything I say during this video comes off as like misworded or anything, just know my intentions are very solid. I never want to offend anyone, hurt anyone's feelings, make anyone feel uncomfortable. So, if I, because I know there's a lot of like specific ways to say things. There's certain phrases, there are certain ways that something can be said that might come off as offensive or insensitive. So if I ever say anything wrong, don't hesitate to call me out. If you feel the need to, you can. But just soak up that comfort feeling, knowing that I don't mean to say the wrong things. I made a video before about autism, talking about autism, and at that point, I had no idea that the word like Asperger's wasn't a thing anymore. Like I guess the professionals were trying to get away from saying people had Asperger's and not autism. I don't know. And then there's like another, instead of saying somebody has autism, you're supposed to just say they're autistic. So like little things like that is what I'm trying to say. If I say anything weird, just know I don't mean anything bad by it, okay? I will say that, autism sits very close to home with me. I have two brothers that have been diagnosed with autism, or diagnosed as autistic. I don't know which way is the right way to say that. And the cool thing about ASD, autism spectrum disorder, I guess it's not really a cool thing, but a very neat thing, I think, is that the professional scientists, whoever it is out there, learning all this stuff about mental health and these challenges or disorders, or whatever you want to call them, spectrums, they're learning so much about it all the time, and that fascinates me, because it's like, what are we gonna know in 10, 20 years from now? What kind of things are gonna be discovered? And very quickly, I just wanted to say that I would like to refer to myself as an advocate for autism, but I don't. I googled like what is an advocate, and it basically just means somebody that publicly supports said thing. So does that mean just like me going public right now and being like, I support the autism spectrum? Does that make me an advocate? I don't know. I guess it's that easy. Who knows? Molly Shannon. This is her book. Hello, Molly. She plays on a lot of funny movies, stuff like that. I've been reading that book for a while. I don't want to finish the ending. She is an advocate for autism because her son is autistic. So I relate a lot with her, and that's just a really cool thing, a really cool fact about her, that she is an advocate for autism. She plays in some of my favorite movies, and I just think she's funny. She's from Saturday Night Live. Anyways, that was a little trail we took, but we're coming back. About 8 years ago, I want to say. I think it was right before I started my channel. I had this thought that came across my mind, and it kind of stuck with me. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how that went. So, about 8 years ago, I thought to myself, how does a person know that they are different or that they are on the spectrum? How would someone know that about themselves without somebody else telling them, right? And that kind of like stunned me in a way. That thought kind of planted a tiny seed in my mind, and it like stems grew from that little seed. So I started thinking, well, there are a lot of things about myself that are a little suspicious in this moment, now that I'm thinking about this topic. And I was thinking, like, there's no way I'm on the spectrum, because I don't do A, B, C, and D. I knew what autism looked like, from my brother, my closest in age brother. Grew up with him, we were very close, very best friends, So I always compared the autism spectrum to what I knew was autism, And when I say what autism looks like, I will get to that in a little bit, okay? So I start really investigating this topic. I start asking, like, my friends, my brothers, my parents. I'm like, do you think I might be autistic? And everyone said no. Everyone said no way, I was like, okay, alright. So then, like, a couple years passed by, and I kind of just felt this sense of knowing about myself that I have something going on, something. And there's too many symptoms that I have to not be on the spectrum. I am 99% sure in my heart of hearts that I am on the spectrum of autism. The 1% that is kind of leaving me uncertain is that I have never been professionally diagnosed. Now, that doesn't go to say I haven't been seen, okay? So, last year, I actually found out that there was a neurologist at a nearby place, and I tried to make an appointment with her and everything to go in and see her, but she was moving that week. She was moving hours away that week, so she couldn't see me. So yeah, like, she was a professional neurologist, right? And this person she sent me to, let's just say I don't think they ever really did any studying on autism at all. So I go in there for the appointment to try to, talk and stuff, and they tell me that I don't look autistic. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what would I need to look like or be doing right now to look autistic? So I, left that appointment feeling very disheartened. I don't know what the right word is. Just kind of disappointed for sure. But I want to jump back to that moment of kind of like that inner realization that I just knew something, like I was on a spectrum of some sort. I felt this overwhelming sense of like relief. did, and I was crying and everything, like in the moment, in the first moment that I kind of like internally realized or truly believed that I figured out this thing about myself that I never knew. I started crying, but they were like happy-ish tears, like so relieved, and it was the weirdest feeling ever. It was almost like, for the first time ever, I was actually letting myself feel just whatever I wanted to feel at that second, you know. I didn't feel like I ever needed to act a certain way to fit in again. I didn't feel like I had to mask so much of myself to feel like I was okay or feel safe. And I know a lot of this is going to be very hard to understand, especially if you're not, if you have no knowledge of autism or being on the spectrum, anything like that. But for me, it's a big part of my life because there's so much that we don't know yet, especially when it comes to autism on the female side of things. So they have done a lot of research on males. The way autism shows up in kids. A lot of those research studies were done on little boys, and I feel like it's complicated to get into and to talk about just like openly. But I definitely feel like there's so much more information that we just don't, that's just over our heads still. And these are going to be so, like, this knowledge that we don't have yet is going to be so beneficial in the future for everyone. For everyone on the spectrum, for everyone that is not on the spectrum but maybe has like a family member or a best friend or anyone in their life. I feel like the more we can talk about it, normalize it in a way, and just make it a more known thing, I feel like the better it's going to be for everyone. I seen a lot of people when I went to school. I went to school with that, were on the spectrum. They would get bullied. Their needs weren't being met. They didn't, they needed stuff. They needed understanding. They needed patience from these teachers or whatever. And I just feel like so many people overlooked so many things, and I feel like it's still like that, but it is improving, and I'm happy about that. But there's a lot of things still that's just, I feel like it's not okay. So I don't know, man. I don't know what to say from here. Anyways, I guess I'll just get to my symptoms, because there's just too much going on in this brain right now for me to even try to put together. But, so some of my symptoms. When I was very little, like 3 is as far back as I can remember, but I'm sure it was younger than this. Sounds would scare me, like, I have sensory overload issues a lot, and I still do. Certain lights, certain sounds, they can really make someone that's on the spectrum feel in fight or flight, guess I've heard and I've read that people on the spectrum can hear sounds that other people can't. Like, when my younger brother got diagnosed, the doctor had described his sense of hearing was so good that he could hear what was going on inside of a light bulb, like static electricity or something. I don't know. So I guess that's my best way of explaining that. And it wouldn't be typical loud sounds that would scare any normal child. It would be very specific, just like typical sounds, and they would, make me feel like I was going insane. So I've always had the sensory issues, but I always thought that it was something called misophonia, which it very well could be. But another interesting fact is that misophonia is included on the list of symptoms of being on the spectrum. So, that being said, moving on to my next symptom. I mask and mirror quite a bit. Not really when I'm doing videos, because I'm sitting in a room all by myself. Like, you guys are getting to see me in my true natural form, pretty much. But if, like, another person is in the room, I feel almost like I'm not really my full self. I know that sounds really bad, but I can't really explain it any other way. Or, like, if I'm comfortable with somebody, I'm able to just be myself, you know? When I stand, like, I'll sway a lot, I'll fidget, I do a lot of things like that. I have a lot of little quirks about me, little tweaks or whatever. And that's all part of my masking behaviors, you know. So for instance, like, if I'm in a situation where I know I'm being observed, okay, I tend to be on my best behavior, is what I've always kind of thought of it like. So, like, when I'm comfortable, when I'm just hanging out by myself or with somebody that I'm very comfortable with, and I'm standing, I don't just stand like this. I'm always like swaying. I don't really rock, okay? But I definitely fidget. I sway a lot, and I do a lot of things people wouldn't really expect, I guess. Because when I am in a situation where I know that, like, I'm being observed, like in a school, sitting in a desk, or at a doctor's office, about to be examined, I am on my best behavior. I'm sitting still. I'm just being who I think a nice person should be. Just here. Okay? And so, when the doctor, told me, you don't look autistic. You don't look autistic to me. I was thinking, like, yeah, because I'm literally just sitting right here, like, being a good girl. But, like, if I was comfortable with the doctor, I'd probably be, like, swaying and, like, making all these crazy faces and stuff. Not to say that that's what being on the spectrum is all about. I'm not saying that at all. It's just, it's just a lot, man. It's a lot. So, I have the fidgeting, I have, like, the little, it's called stimming, like, the little sways. I will bounce my leg a lot, wiggle my foot, do that stuff. And so we have the sensory overload, sound sensitivity, light sensitivity, misophonia. We have the stimming, the fidgeting, the swaying while, talking, whatever. Then I would think my third symptom would really be, I didn't mention mirroring earlier. was talking about like masking, and that's a third symptom we can talk about, is the masking of the fidgeting, and you know, all of the things that I feel like, if I am on the spectrum, all of the things that comes with, that like makes life a little bit more difficult. I feel like what I'm trying to say is that if I am indeed on the spectrum, then it would make a whole lot of sense to me, and it would kind of give me a sense of like relief. Like I felt the day that I kind of found out to myself, you know. It would give me a sense of relief, because one, I would know that I actually have a reason, that just like simple day-to-day stuff can be very extremely overwhelming for me, or you know, just little things like that, little sounds, you know, why do they affect me so much, you know? Am I just, I don't know, there has to be an explanation. I'm very interested in finding out. So mirroring is when you are, you know, it could be meeting someone brand new, it could be your friend that, you know, and maybe they will start making certain faces, or start laughing a certain way, or start saying a specific word a lot. If you're mirroring them, then you'll tend to kind of unintentionally start kind of copying their mannerisms and the way that they are, just for your own sense of like safety. So like if you're around someone and you can feel like you can be similar with them in a way, it might bring a sense of like safe, you know, like this person is gonna like me, they're gonna find common interests, you know, everything's gonna be fine. Because that's another thing, like I don't like conflict, I don't. So masking and mirroring, fidgeting, stimming, the sensory overload, the misophonia, lights, sounds. Let's talk about the other symptom, and that is the emotion processing disorder. It's like a delayed emotional processing thing. So like, for me personally, I might get some devastating news, and then I'm just like not responsive. Like I can't feel anything about it in the moment. But then maybe like a month later, maybe a week later, I will just break down. And that's not a normal thing. Like usually, you know, if you hear something really, really bad, really tragic and stuff, it'll immediately hit you. You'll be able to start processing all of that, you know, emotion, all those emotions and feelings and stuff. You'll be able to healthfully start to process them. Where, as somebody that has like a delay for that type of thing, I might get some really bad news, you know, be feeling a little down, but not being able to truly like grieve or express my full emotions. And then like a month later, when the said event has kind of, you know, faded out and everyone else is kind of able to move on and be happy and stuff, that is when it seems like I will fall apart. And then I'll feel weird about it. I'll feel guilty. I'll feel like, you know, well, why couldn't I feel this way in the moment? Why am I just now able to process all of this? So that's a very specific symptom that I feel like isn't talked about or thought about enough. The whole like emotional processing, mood processing, whatever. I would love to know more about that. Like why? Why does that happen? What's going on with my brain? Like where's my wires crossed? I don't know what's going on. Guys. And and it goes the other way too, like something like awesome and crazy happy, like something that like the best news could happen, and I'm just like mellow about it. I'm just like, that's really cool, that's nice, like good, love that. But I won't be able to fully feel that like crazy excitement for a little while, you know. Other things about me that are kind of like make me kind of wonder. I have hyperfixations, so like I have certain things that I collect. I'm a big list maker, you know. I like a routine. I like things a certain way. I wouldn't say that I have OCD, but it's a little kind of like mimics that, I would say. Like I don't feel like complete if A, B, and C isn't done correctly, I guess. I don't know. Do you know what I mean, though? Not in like a cleaning type way. Like, my house is very clean. I clean it every day. But I just mean like my certain miniatures on my shelf. Like, I just like things to be in their certain way, okay? I just, like, I don't get upset if they're not. I've found that I can really hyperfixate on getting, you know, a certain shelf to look just right. You know, I could spend so long, like, just moving the little items around, making sure they're perfect. I don't know. So that's what I mean by, like, hyperfixating on things. Or if I get, like, a new interest, I will be focused, like, hyper-focused on it, you know, until, I don't know, the dopamine wears down or something. Endorphins, dopamine, whatever. Along with like the sensory type stuff with the like sounds and lights, it's also a physical thing too. Because if like certain itchy tags are on my shirt, I have to cut them off. Like if my socks aren't pulled up the same level, like the same length, I have to fix it, you know. Just certain little things like that I'm extra focused on, that I don't feel like is properly normal, right? I don't know. I also have kind of like a reading delay, a pronunciation problem. I was in speech class in first grade because I couldn't say my R's. There was just like so many little subtle like hints, and I just got overlooked because it was so distinct, and it is so distinct. You know, like have I been on a spectrum my whole life and just never been diagnosed or never had these special needs that I needed? And the reason I say all this, and the whole reason for this video, not only to spread awareness for autism and to try to get some like information out there, it's also to let you know that if you've ever been suspicious on your own self, if you feel like you're on the spectrum but you are an adult now, I don't know about where you're from, but where I'm from, it's so hard to get a diagnosis or to get someone, a professional, to listen to you or to even consider evaluating you. I was told now this isn't the doctor that I went to see to try to get an evaluation. Didn't end up going through with that because I just didn't feel comfortable. Anyways, another doctor, was my primary doctor, told me that since I'm not a kiddo, it's probably gonna be years before I could ever be seen by a neurologist or like, you know, a professional that deals with autism and stuff. She said because, you know, if you've made it this far in life, like without any guidance or any like, you know, special needs or like listen, that's not the point. I just want to know for my own satisfaction. Yeah, I've gotten through things because I've learned, you know, my way around all these little obstacles. You know, I've made do my whole life. Like, it's no, just want to know so that I know. And that's so hard to explain to somebody that just doesn't get that. You know? And they're just like, well, why do you want to know? It's not going to change anything. It's not like there's anything you can do about it. And I'm like, I don't want to change anything. If you can't understand my dire need and needing to know this about myself, then you're kooky. I don't know what else to tell you. I just, I would rest better knowing. It's frustrating. It's so frustrating for me. And it's okay. It's whatever. It's fine. It's okay. But I have a ton of support. So, like, okay, 8 years ago, nobody was on my side, like, telling me that they think I'm autistic. I was like, well, okay, I guess I'm not. Fast forward a few years later, I meet somebody. It's like a professional friend. Okay, I'm not gonna get into who they are. It's a professional friend that like works around autistic people. They're like, I can't tell you. But anyways, they were like, well, you're autistic, right? And I was like, what? Because I hadn't thought about it in a long time. They just randomly said that to me. Talking about something, like, some weird quirk of mine we were talking about, and they just bluntly said, well, you're autistic, right? And in that moment, I was like, oh my goodness, finally, I have somebody here sitting across from me right now, thinking the same thing I've been thinking this whole time. And I was like, oh my gosh, really? Tell me more. Why do you think that? How do you know? Because I'm masking really good right now. Like, my masking techniques right now are off the charts. So tell me right now how you know this. How do you know? And it was just because this specific person had been around a lot of like autistic females, and were able to pick up on certain things about me. They cannot diagnose me. They don't have the ability to do that. But they just fully were like, yeah, you're definitely, yeah. My two best friends, definitely both, they told me there's no way I'm not on the spectrum. In a nice way, though. Like, I can't explain it better. I got my whole family on my back. Like, everybody I know has listened to my concerns, and they have supported me and told me, like, yeah, okay, you probably are. So that was satisfying. That was a relief. I was like, okay, so it's not just me or this like one other person. Multiple people are now coming to the conclusion that there might be a little something of a spectrum going on in this bubble here. And I wanted to tell you, even though you're an adult and it might take a long time to get a diagnosis or whatever, or for people to finally hear you, and it can be life-changing. It can be such a relief, because now, knowing that there's a reason why you do the things that you do, or why you think the way you do, and it's not just you being difficult, or it's not just like there's something wrong with you. Like, there's an actual, chemical. What is it? What is autism? Is it a chemical imbalance? Or no, it's no, it's not. I should know this. I research about autism so much. There's so much out there, guys, that it's hard to just pull it all together and just know it all. And like I said before, I have a like comprehension disorder. I don't know how to explain that any better. like if I'm reading a paragraph, guys, if I am reading a paragraph, I have to go back and like reread it a few times to fully understand what's going on, because I'll get so distracted. And just like stuff like that, or if someone's talking to me, sometimes I'll have to ask them to repeat what they said a few times. Not because I couldn't hear them, just because I couldn't put it all together, you know? And then, yeah, so there's just all kinds of little quirks that just go very under the radar, and it's, you know, it's got me feeling a little mysterious over here, not gonna lie. But, there was something important I was gonna say. Hold on. What was it? What was it? If you or someone you know is on the spectrum, more power to you, you know? I want to just put a message out there. Be kind to everyone, and try to be yourself, because I think life feels the best when you're being your authentic self. You know, it's easier said than done to say, you know, you don't got mask around people, you know, just be yourself in front of everyone. That's okay. Not a natural feeling, you know. When you're around people, you want them to like you. You don't want them to look at you and think that you're strange. So of course masking comes up a lot, and it's very helpful. I will say. But at the end of the day, just know, what are you gonna do? You know, I don't know where this video went. I don't know what I was saying. I'm distracted again. Look at that. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. My important detail. So I seen another professional that knows a little bit about autism, and she said the first time meeting me, she was like, "You definitely fit the criteria." She goes, "You definitely fit the criteria for executive dysfunction." Or no. Executive function disorder. Executive functioning disorder. And I was like, "Ooh, what's that?" And she was like, "Well, the professionals are trying to steer away from calling it the autism spectrum disorder, and instead we're just gonna try to start calling it executive functioning disorder." So now I don't know if they're gonna get rid of calling it autism all together. I highly doubt it. I don't know how to feel about that. But with that being said, a professional finally told me that they do feel like, they haven't put me through all the tests or whatever yet, but just hearing that from someone, that made me feel so it made me feel kind of like what did it make me feel? I don't know. See, my emotions are probably still processing from it, because I don't know how I felt about it. I felt intrigued. I was like, I want to know more. Like, tell me about myself. I don't know. Just like with my eye contact, like I knew eye contact was a big thing. Like, autistic people can't make eye contact. Well, you know what? I'll make eye contact with you right now. I got so good at it. Like, I would make myself make eye contact with people, even though it felt really weird and uncomfortable. I would still do it because I knew I wasn't supposed to be able to. Let's put that in your back pocket. I'm sorry. Anyways, so the next step in my journey is to see this lady again, and actually go through with doing the little, what's it called? Little tests, these little segments, and trying to figure out the bottom answer. because at the end of the day, I just want to know for myself, and I think a lot of you can relate to that. You know, if there was something going on, or like something about yourself that you didn't know or you weren't aware of, you would probably want to know. But if you have any questions for me, let me know, and I would be very happy to answer any like autism related questions. I want to send out hugs, lots of love to everybody, spectrum or not. I think that you're all really cool, beautiful, amazing people, and I really hope that, you know, you're living your best life, because that's all that really matters. But enjoy this month. Do something kind for someone. Do something kind for yourself. And just never forget how special you are. So I guess that's all for today. I know it was very rambly, very all over the place, but I think I made some good points, right? I got across what I was trying to say, you know.